What's up, guys? How you doing today? I decided to wait a little bit before doing my usual recap video of SuperMotocross or Super Duper as Cooksey calls it. And by the way, Cooksey shout out. Uh, wow, what a race! And unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of passing at ChicagoLand Speedway, but I definitely liked the layout of the track. It definitely resembled an outdoor national. And I have to say that this is going to be the subject of another video that I'm planning to do later in the week. I'm just not sure when, but it'll definitely be up before the end of the week because I don't think I'm going anywhere over the weekend. I know I'm not going to be riding my own motorcycle myself, but anyway, let's start. And as you can see on this, as you can see on this banner, Hunter and Jett Lawrence took the wins at ChicagoLand Speedway. Now, I will say, though, I'm going to start with the 250 class because Hunter Lawrence looked like he was not to be denied. And I have to admit that his performance really, really shocked me. Yeah, it's double points, but he put himself back in contention because of the double points. But Jo Shimoda looked like he was on his way to maybe giving Hunter a run for his money. But what happened in the closing stages in that one big flat corner just before the finish or just before the first turn kind of ruined Jo Shimoda's day pretty much. Now, I'm not sure if there was a problem with the bike or anything. Obviously, there was a problem with Jo Shimoda's with the physical wise. Of course, he had the cut on his chin and bit his tongue. Not a lot you could do about that, but that stuff hurts. And I can only imagine what Joe went through. And that really, like I said, that affected his day. I actually thought that maybe he would have done a little better in the second race, but just didn't work out. The start really seemed to be 95 to 99% of the race because I didn't really see much passing going on unless somebody blew it, like what we saw Hayden Deegan do off the finish line jump. And I'll tell you, it's a shame that guy's not representing Team USA because Hayden Deegan would certainly have helped the guys out. Because like I said, like I've been saying on the internet, the only question mark in my book is Christian Craig because he hasn't raced much this year. But anyway, back to Chicagoland. Was I surprised at all that Hunter Lawrence won the 250 class? Yeah, a little bit because he didn't really look that great at the first round in Concord or Charlotte. But, he may have just given himself a chance to possibly make it another championship. But a guy that I was kind of looking at doing a little better was Hayden Deegan as well. But I kind of thought that somebody new might step up. I can't quite put my finger on who. But we'll see what happens as we go into the triple points. Final round at the LA Coliseum. First time we've raced at the Coliseum since 1998 when Sebastian Tortelli won in the what was called the 250 class. And John Dowd won in the 125 class when it was called what it was called back then. And John Dowd it was made public that he was racing the West Coast for 1998. And of course, we all know what happened in the 250s, as I talked about, as I mentioned earlier, with Sebastian Tortelli coming from outside the top 10 to win it all. And anyway, let's get to the 450 class. I'm going to try to keep this a little short today. But the 450 class, I thought Chase Sexton would have done a lot better than what he did. But it seemed like like I said earlier, most of the race was in the start. And Jett Lawrence came through and won the day with a 1-2. But I'm actually going to be a little bit critical in the second race when he just stood up and let Roczen ride right by. Because obviously, if we look back at the motocross championship, Ken Roczen could very well, or actually was probably the best threat to Chase or Jett Lawrence losing a race in the motocross season. But as it turns out, Roczen came out for just that one race at High Point, and he did give Jett a run for his money in the first moto there. But, things happen. I mean, I still thought Roczen rode pretty well. He was keeping Jett honest. But if I'm Jett Lawrence right now, I would have fought for a sweep, just for momentum purposes. I mean, I know it wasn't going to affect anything in the point structure. But honestly, but like I said, I would have fought harder for Jett because, obviously he was still going to win the overall. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that fact. But considering that, he was well on his way to a 1-1 sweep, I think to send Ken Roczen back to the drawing board, I probably would have fought till the end and made Ken work for it and maybe send him back to the drawing board thinking, what do I got to do now? What do I got to do to beat this guy? So that's the thing. So I definitely would have liked to see them battle instead of Jett just letting Ken by like that. Yeah, and like I said, it wasn't going to hurt him in the overall, but I think for confidence purposes and knowing that he could take Ken Roczen and kind of answer all the critics, Jett should have fought to the finish. Again, that's just my take because I think back to when Ricky was dominating the sport and he did everything he could to make sure that everybody had to start from square one. And I think, unfortunately, those days are over, and I think Jett should have done that. But anyway, another guy that I mentioned earlier that I think should have had better results, this guy here. This guy here should have done a little better than what he did. Chase Sexton. It was a hometown race for him, but honestly, I don't think Sexton really looked on it all night. Yeah, the start was a big chunk of the race, even though it was a sweeper. I do believe that whoever got the start was going to control the race, and Jett pretty much got both starts. But how about Filthy Phil Nicoletti getting the whole shot in the second moto that night? And he actually rode well. I'm definitely going to put him on my radar for my fantasy picks. But Chase Sexton, I thought, would have won a race, but unfortunately that track seemed to be pretty hard to pass on. Hence why I think the start was a big chunk of the race. So, obviously I still think that the racing was great. Jett is back in contention in the 450s. Hunter's back in contention. Hunter Lawrence is back in contention in the 250s. But we'll see what happens. I still think it could go, the 250 title could go to either Shimoda or Hayden Deegan. But my instincts are leaning towards Jo Shimoda, but he's going to have to really nail his starts. But if I'm pro circuit right now, I'm wishing that there's definitely a lot more races coming up, because with Jo kind of figuring something out and being the only guy that's really doing anything, yeah, I would wish for more races, or that this would have happened a lot sooner. But Austin Fortner, Carson Mumford being out, oh man, can those guys catch a break? But Carson Mumford, I hope that guy does not get overlooked like he was before. And Austin Fortner, I don't know what that guy's been eating, but it's not working. And I can only hope that things will get better for him. So obviously final round coming up. We'll see what happens if in both classes. So anyway, so we'll hope for the best. Anyway, guys, subscribe and I will catch you later. So long, folks.